Hello, family. I'm out and about today, but I definitely wanted to come by to let you know that I am here. Actually, I got a wonderful new little bracelet. Okay, see that right there? Okay, it's not a jewelry bracelet, but it is a bracelet because I just left the doctor's office. So, therefore, thank you for allowing me to come on when I did come on. So, I'm actually doing this from my car. The live today is from my car because that is where I am. And I am going to talk to you today about your thyroid. Thyroid 101, how not to make it worse. That's what we're talking about today. So thank you for joining me. For those who don't know who I am Penny, also known as Plant-Based Penny. And I help people move from problems to progress with plant-based solutions. And after 34 years dedicated to corporate America, I was led to move abroad where I immersed myself in all things plant-based, most recently in the countries of Honduras, Panama, Costa Rica, and Colombia, South America. And I've returned to the United States, so I'm here to help you look, live, and feel well. And so, yeah, I talked about the fact that I went to the doctor's office, and I did that because I always like to make sure that everything's functioning as it should function. And so I have doctors, so I've never advocated for people not to have doctors. I just went today for an ultrasound on my thyroid, and when I did that, I'll find out what my results are. And so I try to keep my records so I can compare those to previous times to see if there's any changes. So I do recommend that. Make sure that you find a medical professional who is one on which you're on the same level, somebody that respects you, someone who encourages your health. And also, you know what? Someone who actually looks healthy too, because that's another part of it. Just in my opinion, I think that sometimes when somebody is coaching you on something, then they should follow that advice. I mean, put a one in the chat if you think it makes a difference on if somebody is following the advice that they're giving you. So if they are giving you advice on small businesses, that maybe they should be in the area of small business. If they're giving you advice on law or legal matters, that they should be in that area and not just somebody who is practicing it because they read a couple books. So put a one in the chat if you agree with that. Put a two in the chat if you don't agree with it. It's okay. I'm okay when people don't agree with me. So yeah, do excuse my camera. I for those of you who are just joining, I did just come from a doctor's office to have some tests run, and yes, I'm still alive, so that's good news. So Thyroid 101, good evening. Always good to see the different people on my different platforms. And so thank you for joining. Thank those joining on my Facebook page and my YouTube. We're not streaming on Instagram at the moment, but I will try to post a video there later. Okay, we're going to talk about Thyroid 101, and there are two different types of thyroid. There's the hypo and there's a hyper. And so and one is really not worse than the other. You may have hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism, and that's okay. The hypo is when your TSH, which is a thyroid hormone test that the doctor will give you when it's high and the thyroid is not producing enough thyroid hormone. When the TSH is low, and I've been so low on my TSH that it's just like it doesn't even register on the scales whatsoever. They just can't even register it. So when it is low, then your your thyroid is producing too much thyroid hormone at that time. And so you just want to understand that, I mean, neither one is more detrimental to you or more dangerous. I'll say it that way. Neither one is more dangerous than the other, but you just need to be aware and knowledgeable about which one it is that you have, because that's going to determine what you eat. It's going to determine how you can support your thyroid health. Does that make sense? Okay. So Thyroid 101. And I wrote down some notes because I want to make sure I got it all. So if you're a hyperthyroid patient, then you feel like you're revved up all the time. You feel like you're revved up. Your heartbeat goes really fast or faster. You have more anxiety. You have more irritability than other people. And so, yeah. Yeah, I think my husband and some other people can tell you that. Yeah, I characterize those traits as well. So those are some of the traits that you may see. Also, your you hyper. You feel like you're always running. Your metabolism is just always running. The O, on the other hand, hypothyroidism, that one you feel fatigued. You feel sluggish. You feel depressed. You feel cold. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that the hyperthyroidism, you might feel hot. So you might not know, if you're at that point in life, you might not know if you are having personal summers, also known as hot flashes. You might not know that, or you don't know if your thyroid is out of whack. So you have to seek that test from a doctor, and they can tell you which one it is. So what is the help? What can we do to help ourselves if we have hyper or hypo? Now, I will say that most people are hypothyroid, but they have the hypothyroidism. And that's the majority of the population, and mostly women who have that. Men can have it as well, but it's mostly women that are afflicted with that issue of thyroid being out of whack. So if you are looking for help in hyperthyroidism, good thing you're here, because I have this for you. And you can share it with somebody that you know who is having this challenge. So hyperthyroidism, your help is. So what you want to do is you want to stay away from certain things. You want to stay away from caffeine. Really, it's stimulants. So you want to stay away from nicotine, caffeine, and anything like that that's considered a stimulant, because you're already stimulated. Your thyroid is putting out too much thyroid hormone, and because of that, it is overstimulating your body. So you do not want to put anything else in your body that's going to stimulate it even more. So you want to avoid the caffeine or the nicotine. And what you do want to do is that you want to drink some calming teas, something that's going to soothe you, something that is going to just calm you down so that you're not revved up all the time, so that you can relax. You also want to avoid sugar. Well, actually, I'm going to put this in both categories, in both hyper or hypo. Avoid the sugar. And hyperthyroidism, you want to avoid dairy as well. So and avoid iodine rich foods. So that would be like the seaweed or kelp. So I avoid iodine salt as well. So you want to avoid the iodine rich foods when you are eating, and limit your soy and gluten, which is some things I do. I find my body's kind of like signaling me when I eat gluten-rich foods, and it's saying, Penny, we don't like this. We don't like this. And so that may be partially because I have the hyperthyroidism, although it doesn't have me. But okay, so the second thing that you can do, so the first thing, you want to avoid stimulants if you're hyperthyroid. You've been diagnosed with that. Then the second thing is you want to avoid, and this is interesting, and I just recently found this out, is you want to avoid intense exercise. What? Okay, don't go anywhere saying that Plant-Based Penny said that you're not supposed to exercise. That is not what I'm saying, okay? I am saying intense, but regular exercise is vital. It is important. And this is the area where I struggle the most. So tell me, what kind of exercise do you get regularly, if anybody gets regular exercise? Me, the one that I do the most is if I don't join the exercise class that's at the community college. I haven't been to Y in decades. Well, I'm sorry, in months. But if you're not exercising, that's not good. And so I know that. So that is one of my challenges. So, but walking, I do have a path. I can walk outside of my house. And you may have seen the videos that I've posted before of walking and walking and trying not to make sure that the bears or the wild turkeys or any other animals or deer out there are not spooking me, and I don't spook them because of where I live in the rural and tiny town USA. But get the exercise. That's going to be important. And gentle exercise. And so it might be for you, it might be a stretching exercise or walking. Walking is really the best exercise that we can do, and just about everybody can do it. So the third thing for hyperthyroidism is stress. Stress. Oh my goodness. I wish, this is one thing that I really wish that I knew a long time ago and in the beginning, because if I had known about the effect of stress on my thyroid, then I could have avoided a whole heap of problems. A whole heap of problems. So stress is, and my quote that I always say is, stress will kill you before a good diet will save you. So you could eat all the kale chips and I don't know, rice cakes or whatever it is. Not, I wouldn't say rice cakes. All the kale chips and fruit that you want. But if you are not managing your stress, well, that's going to be a problem, because stress is going to aggravate the hyperthyroidism, and we don't want to aggravate it. So what we do want to do, what is the help? What we do want to do is we want to practice stress relieving activities. So stress relieving activities, and so for some that may be meditation, it may be prayer, it may be gentle stretching, it may be a hot tub, it may be a sauna, it may be a whirlpool, it may be journaling is another way to manage your stress. Because here's the thing. Yeah, the thing is, my earpiece just fell out. But the main thing that we need to know is that stress is going to happen. Okay? It's going to happen. So, okay, like, I want you to press the like button if you agree with me that stress is going to happen. It is just a fact of life. I don't know who told people that life was going to be like butterflies and roses and we're going to like tiptoe through the tulips. That is like such a lie. But we need to manage the stress because stress is going to happen. And for those of you just joining, I was in the hospital earlier a little while ago, and so I'm just getting back to my car. So that's why this live is not my studio, but it's in my car. So if it looks a little crazy, that's the reason. But hey, I'm here. I just had my thyroid tested. And an ultrasound. I've had one before, and so it's good to know where I am so that I know what progress is being made. So I do encourage that. So yeah, we want to keep our stress in check so that we can keep our nerves in check. All right. Now, for the one that most people know about, which is hypothyroidism. So a lot of people are afflicted with this one, and this is the one that causes us to be sluggish, okay? It causes us to be fatigued a lot and tired a lot, and our metabolism is like running on empty. And so it is important that we know, okay, what can I do to help myself if this is my challenge? Okay, so I'm going to give you some tips to help you and to help energize you. The foods, we want to avoid the foods that do not support the hypothyroidism. And that is going to be dairy, it's going to be fatty foods, it's going to be fried foods, it's going to be your diet full of soy. And we want to add the foods that can support a healthy thyroid. And those foods, if you have hypothyroidism, those foods are iodine-rich foods. That would also be like selenium, which you can get that at your local health food store in like a powder or pill. And it also comes in some vegetables. Zinc is another iodine-rich option. Seaweed is another thing. Here's the thing: I was like eating seaweed like all the time, and like and somebody had told me like, well, you should eat some kelp, or maybe that'll help. But there are two different kinds of thyroid issues. There's the hypo and the hyper, and so I was like doing things for the hypo when I was hyper, and then the other way around. So it's important that you understand what your challenge is, because if you don't, you could be like doing the opposite. And I'm sitting here wondering, why am I getting worse? I'm sitting here doing these healthy activities, but if you don't understand that there's a difference, and there's a difference in a way they need to be treated, then you can end up doing the wrong thing. So learn from my mistakes, please. Learn from my mistakes. Okay, so other foods that are good for the hypothyroidism is going to be, like I said, seaweed, Brazil nuts, and these foods, they're going to nourish your thyroid. And so that is what we want to do. The second tip for hypothyroidism, and please send this video to people that that are who have thyroid issues, because they need to know and be empowered with this information. Plant-based penny is all about empowering people with the information. Somebody said seaweed, yuck. Okay, well, yeah, maybe it's an acquired taste, but that's just one. You can just have salt that has iodine in it. I use the salt that doesn't have iodine in it, because too much iodine is not what I need. Well, it's important that you understand that not everybody should be just like avoiding the iodine rich foods, because it's going to depend on what your challenge is. Okay, all right, very good. So the second point is to don't be a couch potato. Don't be a couch potato, because being a couch potato is not going to support your hypothyroidism. Actually, it's not going to support either of the thyroid challenges. Remember, I said physical exercise is vital, and we need to be consistent with regular thyroid, and that's going to help with regular exercise, and that's going to help stimulate our metabolism and stimulate the thyroid function. So that's going to actually be helpful there. And so a person who has hypothyroidism, even though they might not feel like it, And if you've ever worked out before, you know that, sometimes you just don't feel like it. But then after you've done it, you feel good, right? Do I have a witness there? Is anybody like not wanted to exercise before, but then they went and exercised and then it feel better? Put a yes in the chat if that is you or you have experienced that before. Okay, that's tip number 2 for hypothyroidism. And then tip number 3, which can actually apply to both, but it does really affect those who are hypothyroid, who have hypothyroidism, and that is sleep. And it's quality sleep. So it is important on both ends for whether you're hypo or you're hyper, but it's especially important if you're hypo, because the quality sleep is going to be essential to help regulate the thyroid function. And you can do that by one, being consistent with the bedtime schedule. I am trying to be more consistent, more better. I'm perfect. I'm perfect. I'm plant-based Benny, not perfect-based Benny. Okay. So, I mean, I am learning, and that's why I moved abroad and lived in 7 or 8 countries on 3 different continents, just finding out what are the secrets that people are using over in Singapore, what are the secrets that people are using in Colombia or Honduras, and bringing those secrets back so I can help my clients as I consult with them. And so I really appreciate like the testimonials from one of my client, Indy. And she was just so happy that she's been able to see results, because she's been like trying everything. And she has that peace of mind. And it really makes me happy when we had a free consultation and she just shared with me what her issues were. And I was able to help her because she actually reached out. And that's what I encourage others to do as well, because, hey, the initial consultation is free. And, maybe you'll find some results there, or maybe we need to go a little bit further. But if you never reach out, you don't know. And there's an African proverb that says, if you know and don't do, then you don't know. So if you know it, but you're not doing it, so you can reach out to Plant-Based Penny, but you're not doing it, then you don't know. You can't take credit for it. So sleep was the third remedy for your thyroid function and improving it. So let's recap. So Thyroid 101, how not to make it worse is what we're talking about. And so the first one, if you're a hyperthyroid person, you want to avoid caffeine and drink teas. You want to avoid the intense exercise and practice the gentle exercise. And you want to manage your stress and avoid those foods that will stimulate, like caffeine, nicotine, sugar, and high gluten foods. So also for hypo, the 3 that we talked about, hypo is a person who's like more sluggish. And the strategies to help you there are going to be eat the foods that support a healthy thyroid. And that's so avoiding the fatty, fried, dairy food, and eating the iodine-rich foods like selenium and seaweed and Brazil nuts to help nourish your thyroid. And then don't be a couch potato, but do exercise and do that consistently. And the same thing with sleep. Do get it, be consistent, and make sure that you set a routine and environment that is conducive to good sleep. So whether you have hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism, I've been managing mine since 1998, y'all. 1998. And, as the young people say, the late 1900s, make me feel like I'm really old. But hey, I'm going to be 61 this year. And, Lord willing, I'm going to make it to that point. And I still have my little wonky thyroid that they told me that I needed to get rid of. Maybe one day I will have to do something different. But for 25 years, I have been managing it naturally. Sometimes I fall off the wagon, sometimes I mess up, but hey, I know what works. I listen to my body. I navigate my health with the health professionals and all of grandma's remedies and God's wisdom that I've learned in my travels abroad. And so I'm here to help you look, live, and feel well. Let me know how I can help you. And it is important when you're managing your thyroid that you put self-care, you prioritize self-care. It is not selfish to have self-care. Make sure you listen to your body. Make sure you find a medical professional who will listen to you and be your own best health advocate. And most of all, ladies and gents, keep fighting the war on wellness. Keep fighting it because it's so important. Okay, I'm in my car. I am running some errands after being in the hospital today for my test and radiology. And I am still here. And I thank you very much for watching. And I will see you next Wednesday at 6:00 p.m. for the War on Wellness. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to these channels. We'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.